Alright guys, who broke the robot?
Hello everyone, I'm a broken robot. Oh Funko, what happened? You went from the titan of the collectibles industry to the laughingstock of Comic-Cons in less than a decade. While personally I believe I saw the collapse of Funko's once thriving empire of collectible brands coming from a mile away, the recent string of financial blunders have seemingly caught Funko with their pants down. From dumping $30 million of unsold products in a landfill back in March of 2023, to Funko CEO Brian Mariani taking a quote, leave of absence on July 18, 2023, this year has been especially hard on Funko. None of Funko's lines of products have buckled under the weight of these recent financial hardships more than that of the Funko Pop. That's why today we'll be discussing the current state of Funko and why I personally believe that the Funko Pop will probably be extinct before 2030. Funko was founded in 1998 by Mike Becker in Snohomish, Washington. Initially, the company focused on creating nostalgia-themed bobbleheads based on various licenses. These bobbleheads gained a modest following among collectors, which helped Funko stay financially afloat during the first few rocky years. In 2010, Funko introduced the Pop Vinyl line, which marked a significant shift in the company's product offerings. These figures featured a distinctive and simplified design characterized by large heads and round black eyes. The Pop Vinyl line covered a vast array of pop culture properties, from movies and TV shows to video games and sports. The direct inspiration for the Funko Pop was a bobblehead that was modeled into a vinyl figure, with the main drive of the figure being the licensed themes attached to them. Funko's success was fueled by its ability to secure licenses for a wide variety of popular franchises, with Funko in 2023, despite all of its financial hardships, still holds the record for the most licensing rights of any company in the world. This allowed them to create figures based on iconic characters from Marvel, DC Comics, Star Wars, Disney, and many other well-known properties. The extensive licensing agreements contributed to the appeal of the Funko Pop figures, as collectors could find figures representing their favorite characters and fandoms. While the initial line of Funkos from 2010 to 2012 were slow to catch on, by 2016 Funko Pops had plenty of popularity to go around, with conventions, comic shops, and even big box retail stores now selling, buying, and trading Funko Pops. While Funko as a company had dozens of different product lines during the 2010s, no one line was pushed as hard as the Funko Pops. They were everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Gas stations, museum gift shops. I even saw a guy in the street once selling Funko Pops from a homemade vendor stand. So what the heck went wrong? How did Funko go from having the collectible industry by the short and curlies to dumping $30 million worth of items into a landfill? Well, while there isn't one pinpoint reason why Funko Pops have seemingly crashed in value on both the regular and secondary market, a stream of multifaceted issues have tanked not only the culture around Funko Pops, but the company itself, with overexposure, less desirable figures, and a crashing secondary market, and most importantly, a lack of demand, has made Funko Pops no longer as sought after as they once were. Remember quarantine? While most of the world was shut down and the world governments were bickering over what kind of mask worked slightly better than the others, most people like you and I were locked in their houses, trying to keep our sanity and trying to act like the world wasn't going to shite in front of our very eyes. During the pandemic, at least here in the United States, multiple government paid-for stimulus checks were sent out to various households throughout America. While this system was put in place to provide a safety net for low-income housing Americans, according to the Motley Fool website, despite these checks being intended for rent and mortgage payments, 52.2% of the $1.9 trillion provided from the American Rescue Plan in stimulus checks was spent on personal care and non-vital goods. This bubble of Americans who typically didn't manage their money well, now having anywhere between $1,200 to $19,000 in expendable income, and a mix of pandemic fear and a general understanding that the stimulus checks wouldn't have to be paid back, led many Americans to splurge their money on foolish items like car upgrades, expensive makeup brands, and yes, Funko Pops. Funko's sales soared to new heights during the pandemic, with Funko's official numbers posting a $1 billion in net sales on just Funko Pops alone, which was a whopping 58% growth from the Funko Pop sales of 2020, which was also a great year for Funko, keep in mind. These 2.5 years of major growth during the pandemic signaled to Funko's corporate sector that there was a demand for more Pops, so thousands of additional units were printed. However, once the stimulus checks wore out and the pandemic ended, most people moved on from doomsday collecting and went back to their regular lives. This essentially left Funko holding the bag, as they had printed millions of Pops for the 2023 sales, but a combination of internal and external issues has led Funko to continue printing Pops at a level never seen before, despite there being almost no demand, which is only continuing to hurt both the brand, the collector aspect of products, and most importantly, it has nearly tanked the secondary market, but I'll talk about that in a moment. It's no secret that movies, video games, and TV shows haven't been that great lately. But you know who didn't get the memo? Funko. One of Funko's marketing strategies is to buy the license rights to upcoming films so that way they can have Funko Pops out in circulation as the movie is in theaters or as the TV show or video game first comes out. Unfortunately though, most people aren't in the market for a Funko Pop of Black Adam, everyone's favorite forgettable Dwayne Johnson cash grab. Or what about a Funko Pop of a soulless brand? Or, I'll do you one better. How about a Funko Pop of a soulless brand, but this time it's holding something? It's the unfortunate truth that when it comes to licensing, Funko is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Popular film trilogies and video games have already had pop lines made, and while recently Funko has begun the controversial strategy of reprinting old pops with slightly different designs, less and less people have the desire to collect an entire line of Funkos, so they'll simply buy 2 or 3 figures that they like and move on. A combination of increasing pop lines from 6 to 12 figures and also overprinting the heck out of commons has made Funko Pop's value, collectible nature, and general appeal lessen with time, which brings me to the most important reason why Funko's corporate sector is actively killing their fanbase through these poor choices to inflate dwindling sales. There is no secondary market quite like Funko Pops. As someone who formerly collected Funko Pops until I realized I'd rather not die alone, the Funko Pop secondary market is intense and used to be a sprawling economy with thousands of sales taking place daily across sites like eBay and whatnot. While most common Funko Pops appreciate extremely slowly over time, chase variants and grails can go from hundreds to thousands depending on what kind of pop you're looking for. For the first 8 years of Funko Pop's existence, Funko purposely printed less of chase variants to increase the collectability and secondary value of the pop. For several years, conventions, comic shops, and video game stores enjoyed a boom of sales from the secondary market. But much like other critical flaws with Funko Pop's marketing, look no further than the corporate sector. In a screwball attempt to artificially inflate sales between 2021 to 2023, hundreds of chase variants have been designed and released, despite only a few dozen chase variants being released in past years. While Funko assumed that by creating more chase variants, it would drum up collectors to once again rush to Walmarts and Targets much as they did during the pandemic, but instead this had directly hurt and nearly destroyed the secondary market, with most chase variants being produced during the 2021 to 2023 era having far less value than pops printed prior to the pandemic due to just how many of these variants were made. Funko went from printing only 4,000 of a pop to over 40,000, which destroyed the collectible nature of chase pops, which if this trend continues could potentially kill the secondary market entirely. Now's the part of the video where we face the cold hard truth. If you're a Funko Pop collector in the audience, don't take this personally, but no one gives 2 hecks about Funko Pops anymore. It's the unfortunate truth that while Funko was able to maintain a loyal and steady flow of customers thanks to their licenses, most people don't even care about that anymore. A prime example of this is what my fellow YouTuber Uncle Tim's Rantings and Reviews had said about his own personal issues with Funko Pops.
Fam, I want to sit here and talk to you about Funko Pops. Now, I was one of those people that jumped on a bandwagon with Funko Pops during the pandemic, and, I said it'd be something really good to do. I jumped on it really during the pandemic, but I had started before then. But during the pandemic, it was a little easier because, I'm not going to lie, the Funko Pops were on the shelves. If anything else wasn't on the shelves, the Funko Pops was on the shelves. And it was like a cool distractor. A lot of them had that nostalgia fact, and you see shit like Masters of the Universe, The Simpsons, DuckTales, Darkwing Duck. You see a lot of Inuyasha, Gotcha Man, Powerpuff Girls, Ninja Turtles. You see so much, and you like, damn, But, with stuff like this, it's like a fad. You remember the Beanie Babies? That shit came and went. You come to find out that the guy who invented them, was price hiking, gouging people, actually saying that it was only limited stock and he had like warehouses full of the shit. Man, it was just crazy. Now you sitting here looking at this situation right now and you thinking, what is about to happen? Man, I could foresee that in the unforeseeable future that this Funko Pops, they may go the way of the dinosaur.
I couldn't have said it better myself. If you're a fan of collecting or just want to hear a relatable guy talk about his hobbies, I highly suggest checking out Uncle Tim's channel. Anywho, much like Uncle Tim said, the majority of Funko's fanbase growth were from fair weather collectors that used the pandemic to find a slice of joy in a scary time. Now that those days are somewhat over, most people don't care. Funkos are cheaply made, mass-produced, and let's be honest, kind of soulless husks, imitating that they're attached to your favorite character, franchise, or show. The secondary market has begun to eat itself alive because of a mix of hardcore Funko fans, price gouging, and more casual collectors are just jumping ship because why would you want to spend $400 on a trashy looking Venom figure when for $100 you can buy a handmade, high quality statue that looks good and unlike Funko Pops is far more likely to appreciate in value. It also definitely doesn't help that the stereotype for most Funko Pop collectors are sweaty overweight neckbeards that only leave their house twice a week to look at the Pop section at FYE. The sad truth is that casual collectors have moved on, normies will buy a Pop or two and move on, and hardcore Funko fans are holding out in their vaults full of Pops that could potentially appreciate in value. No one is having fun anymore, people are ready to move on, not unlike Beanie Babies, silly bands, and fidget spinners before. Funko Pops were a fad that became a breakout success and somehow ended up a fad again. While some online claim that Funko is too big to fail, myself and other more experienced collectors have said otherwise. But what do you guys think? Am I not giving Funko the credit they deserve, or were Funko Pops never cool to begin with? I hope you all enjoyed this video, and please take a moment to like and subscribe. That would help me out in the YouTube algorithm, and it lets me know that you guys want more. I hope you all have a great day, avoid bears because bears can be pretty scary, and stay cool.